How many of you observe Ekadasi on a regular basis? Ekadasi कौन observe करते हो on a regular basis? अच्छा. और कौन पहली बार एकादशी किया आज? पहली बार? Okay. ऐसा लगा? And very good. And how many of you came to Ujjain for the first time? Oh, nice. आप कहाँ से आए हैं? टीकमगढ़ से। ऐसा है। And so how do you like it? How do you like Ujjain? Those who are coming here for the first time. Very beautiful. Okay. And yeah, Ujjain is a beautiful place, and it's a city of Krishna's spiritual master, Swami. It's the city of Mahakaleshwar. It's one of the 12 Jyotirlingas. You know Jyotirlingas? Lord Shiva's abodes are called Jyotirlingas. There are 12 such places of Lord Shiva in this planet, and Ujjain is one of them. And Ujjain also is one of the most ancient cities of India. King Vikramaditya used to rule here. The 9 jewels of King Vikramaditya, Navaratna, Kalidas is very famous. They all belong to Ujjain. Kalidas, Varahani, Shankar, it's a very ancient, it's a very prominent city. I don't know how true it is, but some days back, someone was telling me that Ujjain will become the future capital of India. I don't know where he got it from. But it makes sense that because it's the center of India, Ujjain is actually the center. That's why the astrological calculations are made on Ujjain. And on top of everything, for us, Radha Madan Mohan is here. That's why Ujjain is so special. And so I'm happy to know that you all are here. You all are happily situated. And at the same time, I feel very sorry that you came yesterday, but I couldn't be here. I actually got stuck with my body. The body's problem is, as long as we have body, what are the problems of the body? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, death. Birth, death, old age, and disease. So that is the nature of the body. We can't deny that. As long as we have the body, especially when the body gets old, the body will have so many problems. So when people ask me how I am doing, I tell them that when the car is old, it will give trouble. What can be done? You have an old car, you can't expect that the car is going to run without any difficulty. New car, no problem. But when the car gets old, every other day it has to go to the mechanic. So body is a machine. Bhagavad Gita. How many of you are reading Bhagavad Gita? Yeah, so everybody should read Bhagavad Gita. So make it a point to read Bhagavad Gita. It's very important. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna compared this body to be with a machine. Jantra Rudhani Maya. The material nature, Maya, has rewarded us with this body. And riding on this body, we have Dhamayan Sarvabhutani. Material nature is making us travel, riding on this body. This body is a machine. Like when you have a car, what's the use of the car? To drive it. When you have an aeroplane, what do? You fly. When you have a bicycle, what do? To ride it. Similarly, when you have a machine called this body, what do you do with it? You ride it. But we cannot control this body completely. The body is controlled by material nature, by the arrangement of guna and karma, three modes of material nature, and our past karma, our past action. And accordingly, we will get sometimes pleasure, sometimes pain. Pleasure and pain are two unavoidable arrangements of material nature. We do not want pain, but we are suffering. Can anybody avoid it? Everybody wants pleasure, but can you get pleasure all the time? So that is the nature of this body. Now intelligence means to understand the nature of the body. Like those who have intelligence, they understand the nature of the body. Those who are not intelligent, like the animals. Can the animals question, can a dog question, can the dog question why I am suffering? Can the dog question how can I get out of this suffering? No. Like they have a little intelligence and they have a little bit of understanding how they can avoid pain and get pleasure. Like the dogs are trained by being beaten. When they do the wrong thing, the dog is beaten. And when the dog does the right thing, he gets the reward. So this is how a dog, because it has some intelligence, understands what to do and what not to do. But the human beings are meant to have a very developed intelligence. And what is the purpose of that intelligence? The purpose of this intelligence is to figure out what is the nature of this body. What is this body? And the purpose of the intelligence to eventually understand that our actual identity is not the body. Our actual self, I am the soul. Now let us make an intelligent analysis for it. Like, we see two kinds of objects in this nature. Some are inert and some are living. Like this table, this seat, this floor, the wall, the room, the building. These are all inert. But you and I, living. Now what causes us to be alive? Now let us consider, at some point, this body also will become inert. I'm sure you have seen a dead body. Does the dead body have consciousness? Why not? When you see a dead body, what do you say? He is gone. He is left. ये हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं? मृत्यु को ऐसे सहज रूप से देहांत हो गया, देहांत हो गया, या स्वर्गाम चले गए, है ना? और क्या क्या बोलते हैं? अच्छा सर है So that means he is gone. In English we use the expression he left. He has disappeared. He has disappeared. He has left. He has gone. He has gone to the other world. Right? We use this expression. Now, what does that actually indicate? That somebody has gone somewhere. Now, what happened because somebody left the body? The body became dead. So, who made the body alive? That somebody made the body alive. Now, who is that somebody? So that, to understand that, one needs intelligence. So today we are going to discuss about the art of dying. The art of dying. This expression is one half of the expression. So Bhakti sent me the email and said that the topic of the seminar is the art of dying. And then I immediately thought that he said half the title of the seminar. You know what's the other half that he missed out? The way to immortality. The art of dying, the way to immortality. If you know how to die, then you can become immortal. Right? Anyway, so even if it's not spoken, but by the end of the seminar, that is the thing that we must understand. This art of dying is the name of it. Like sometimes, actually, I thought of giving a seminar on art of dying because in America, I saw a big poster, quite a few big posters announcing the art of living. And my immediate reaction was that everybody knows it. The art of living is not a big thing. And especially in America, you don't have to tell them the art of living. They know how to live. And they're teaching the whole world how to live. What is important is the art of dying. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is not speaking about the art of living. Krishna is actually speaking about the art of dying. Jab gatvan nivartante statvam antakale chamameva smaranita. So this is what Krishna is actually announcing. And how to die. But this art of dying is science. Anyway, art of living, art of dying doesn't matter. The point is that we have to understand what is the real business that we have. What is our real business? Why we are here? Are we here to enjoy? Everybody will agree with that. Yes, we are here, we are trying to enjoy. But can we really enjoy? Like, What are the means of enjoyment? Do you know what are the general basis of enjoyment? The basis of enjoyment is eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. These are the answer. These are the source of enjoyment. People enjoy by eating. When somebody wants to enjoy, what does he do? He goes to a restaurant, or people want to enjoy. Wherever there is this endeavor for enjoyment, like wedding and things, when they're going for wedding or party, what do they have? The big part of it is eating. And then along with eating comes drinking. So the eating and drinking. Now if it's a matter and then sleeping, mating and defending. So these are the four bases of enjoyment. But if you say, and ahara nidra bhaya maithanancha, these four things, animals are very expert in it. They can do it much better than like a man can eat, but a pig can eat much bigger, much better than a man. Right? And it can relish all kinds of abominable things. Sleeping, a bear can sleep. For 6 months it can sleep without interruption. So we can see the animals can eat and sleep and mate and defend in a much better way. So these are the animal propensities. These are not actually meant for human beings. The human being should not surrender themselves to these base means of enjoyment. What should be the source of human enjoyment? The source of human enjoyment should be Athatu Brahma Jigyasa. Brahma Jigyasa means, Brahma means the spiritual reality. The spiritual reality. The human beings must try to understand their spiritual identity. Aham Brahmasmi. I am spiritual being. Aham Brahmasmi. And this is the actual human science. The science of the spiritual. So, do you think Shubhal Sam selected a nice topic for a discussion or a seminar? Okay. Now, in order to understand the science of the art of dying, the way to immortality, first of all, we have to understand what is death. What is death? This actually has been dealt with by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita at the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Tatha dehantara prapti. Krishna is saying that death means dehantar. Dehantar means transmigration from one body to another. Who is transmigrating? Who is changing the body? Death means the changing of the body. Who is changing the body? The self. I am. Our I is changing. So that I generally, it's a mistaken. It is a mistake that we consider our body to be ourselves. Generally we identify ourselves with the body. we say that I am hungry, I am feeling good, I am feeling cold, I am angry, I am upset, I am happy. But actually, we are talking about the body. It is the body that is hungry. It is the body that is cold. It is the body that is feeling pleasure. But that is called misidentification of the self. And that misidentification of the self is called false ego. To think that I am this body is the false. But actually I am the spirit soul. So that is our real identity. So when I leave the body suffers. Then what happens to me? It has been pointed out in Bhagavad Gita by Krishna at the very beginning. That's why at the beginning I asked, how many of you are reading Bhagavad Gita? Now please make it a point to read Bhagavad Gita. What I am saying, is it you all understand, or is it too difficult? If it becomes difficult to understand, please feel free to ask questions. Because here I am just trying to make you understand this topic. This topic is that to understand our real identity. What is our real identity? Who I am? Who am I? And that is the beginning of spiritual life. Who am I? Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Who am I? Am I this body? What will be your answer? Now let us see, somebody, say one of you may think that yes, I am my. Then let us deal with this point. Okay, fine, you are this body. When you were 5-year-old, did you have the same body? I think none of you are 5-year-old here. How old are you? 25. So, there was a time when you were 5-year-old. When you were 5-year-old, what kind of body did you have? A small child. Where is that one? No. Today you have become a big personality. Now, that body is gone. But 5-year-old you and today's 25-year-old you are the same person? Yes. So body changed, but you didn't change. What does it imply? What does it indicate? That in spite of the change of the body, you did not change. So that means your body is changing, but you are not changing. You are not affected by the change of the body. So Krishna is actually making this point in Bhagavad Gita that the body changes from childhood to boyhood to youth. Like now most of you are young. You have a youthful body. But your childhood body is gone. Now do you think your youthful body will last forever? Another 30 years? What will happen? You may not agree with me, but you will become old. You will become old. So that body will change. And then you will say, oh, when I was 25 years old. So when I was 25 years old, when you were 25 years old, when you are 60 and you look back, when I was 25 years old, that means the 25-year-old body is gone. Just as today you are saying, the 5-year-old body is gone. So that day you will say, oh, 25-year-old body is gone. And in this way, the body changes, but you do not change. You remain the same person. I remains the same. And that's why you say, when I was 5, when I was 25, when I was 45. That means your body was at that time 5 years old. Your body was 25 years old. Your body was 45 years old. But you are you. And in simple words, don't we use the expression my body? Did you ever hear anybody saying I body? We always use the expression my body. So my body means the body is different from me. Just like I say my shirt, my hair. You have to like that. So when I possess something, then I call that to be mine. But that possess, the object that I possess is not me. So the body I possess, I am not this body. Then what actually happens? I get the body. How I get the body? It's another science. The soul with the subtle body, I will come to that also. The subtle body carries the soul into the body of the Father. And then from the body of the Father, through the semen, the soul with the subtle body enters into the womb of the mother. And in the womb of the mother, it begins to develop. When the womb of the mother is impregnated, when the mother becomes pregnant, what is the meaning of pregnancy? Pregnant means the mother has received a soul in her womb. And the soul is now developing. Mother is actually arranging the body to develop. And then this body in the womb of the mother takes some time to develop into maturity. And when it matures, like gradually, Bhagavatam actually describes how the body actually develops in the womb of the mother. Gradually, it's from the size of a pea. The first night, it takes the shape of the size of a pea. Then it becomes bigger. It becomes big as a plant. And then in 7 months, the body develops the body gets the shape. The nails and things started to grow. The different organs of the body begin to get the shape. And then another 2 months, the body now becomes mature. When the body is mature, then the body comes out of the womb of the mother. When that body comes out of the womb of the mother, what do we call it? We call it. When the body comes out of the mother's womb, that is. So Janma or birth is the process of our spirit soul getting a specific body. And once the body comes out of the womb of the mother, now it's able to function anything. All this while, the body in the womb of the mother was connected to the mother. Connected to the mother through umbilical cord. There is a cord that is actually supplying all the necessities to the body in the womb by this. And now at the time of the birth, that body now separated from the mother. So this is how through the father and mother we get a specific body. So this is the process of birth. And then it stays. The soul now has the body. As I mentioned, the body is like a machine. Now what do you do? The machine has a driver. Who is the driver of this machine called body? The individual soul is the driver. And he drives the body and
in the process of driving the body, he fulfills various desires. And by fulfilling his desires, he gets pleasure. When the desires are obstructed, when the desires are not fulfilled, then he is suffering. This pleasure and pain, enjoyment and suffering are simply related to our desires. When the desires are fulfilled, then we call it pleasure. When the desires are thwarted, we call it pleasure. So, this is how a living entity uses the body in order to experience various types of pleasures. And then, after using the body for some time, when the body gets old, like consider you have a car, you bought a car, you're very happy that you got a new car, then you use the car, and when the car becomes old, as I mentioned, you send it to the mechanic, you send it to the garage. Those mechanics are called the doctors, and the garage is called hospital. So there, this machine is treated for repair. And after the repairing, when it becomes ultimately, now the machine doesn't run at all. Then what happens? The driver says, okay, it's useless. It's too much of a trouble to maintain this car. Doesn't it happen? When you see that the repairing bill is becoming so high, and then it begins to consume so much more gas. Old cars use a lot of gas. And then on top of everything, you have some money now to buy a new car. So what do? You just discard that old car and you buy a new car. So when you discard the old car, then what happens to the car? Now the car is dead. So death is soul's rejection of the body, or soul's departure from the body. When the soul accepts a new body, when the soul gets a new body, that is called birth. And when the soul gives up the old body, that is called death. And the period between birth and death is called life. Make sense? Does anybody have any question up to that point? Yes?
You said about the identification of the self is called ego. And at the time of death, soul carries mind, intention, and force. What is that?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I'll come to that. In order to do that, I was going to take it up at the next phase. The next phase is, there are two types of bodies. Two types of material bodies. You know how many material elements are there? Is it? No, 5 plus 3, 8. 5 gross and 3 subtle. As you say, mind, intelligence and false ego. These 3 are the subtle elements. Now, with the 3 subtle elements, we have another body. Like this body is a gross body. This body is made of 5 gross elements. Therefore, it is called the gross body. Sthula Sharira. And beyond that, there is another identity, another body made of 3 subtle elements, namely mind, intelligence. So, This false ego means developing a mistaken identity. It begins with our rejection or forgetfulness of our identity as the servants of Krishna. When you forget Krishna, then you cannot become the servant of Krishna. Right? Our actual identity is that we are servants of Krishna. And because we forgot Krishna, we begin to identify. Forgetting Krishna and that we are servants of Krishna, we begin to think that we are the Lord and Master of this material. So the actual false ego is that. The Lord and Master of material. The Lord and Master of everything that is. That is the false. Then intelligence. So the intelligence, we begin to plan how we are going to enjoy this material. And then through the mind, which is also a substance, our consciousness flows towards the material. So when we forget our spiritual identity, we begin to identify ourselves with material. That is why the gross concept of false ego is to identify. Like just consider the false ego. What actually happens with false ego? Somebody says that, oh, you are such a nice person. You are so handsome. You are so wonderful. Who is identifying actually? The body. And how do you feel? Oh, yes. So that is how the false ego. But the actual consideration of false ego is to think that I am the Lord and Master. But how do we want the Lord and Master? So that's why the basic concept of false ego is to identify it. No, there is no room for false ego. There is the real identity. The mistaken identity is false ego. In the spiritual sky, it is real. The meaning to think that I am the Lord and Master, I am the enjoyer. But when this body becomes engaged, I will come to that later on. When the body becomes engaged in the service of Krishna, then it is the real identity. I am the servant. Yes.
When you say my body, soul is speaking. Sometimes we also say my soul. My soul, then who is my soul?
Yeah. First of all, you do not even know who your soul is. So how can you say my soul? When you say my soul, who are you identifying? Do you know who is the soul? No. So when you become aware of your soul, then you become aware that the soul is you. Right? So that's why when you become aware of, like Aham Brahmasmi, I am the spiritual being. Yes?
As you said, body migrates from one, soul migrates from one body to another. But it is said when it is liberated, liberation process, what kind of body that soul carries after liberation or where it goes on?
Yeah, then it develops a spiritual body. So the first is the gross body. Then the subtle body. Mind. You know that you have a mind. You know that you have intelligence. So that is your subtle body. Like even this body, say for example, when you are sleeping, When you're sleeping, are you aware of your body? The body is sleeping, but you're dreaming, right? Then what is that body? That is the subtle. In a dream, you're traveling, you're doing different things. You're doing different things. So that is the subtle. But then, transcending that subtle body, you come to your spiritual identity. That body develops by rendering devotional service. As you render service to Krishna, then that spiritual body will develop. So, yes, you have a body. So that is spiritual. With the spiritual body, you will go back to the spiritual side. Okay, so can I go to the next phase now? So now, we consider, so far we consider the gross body made of 5 different elements and how it is like a machine, and who is the driver? The soul. Now in between there is another body that is called the subtle mind, intelligence and false. These are the substance. These are the substance. Like mind is a substance. It's a material substance, material phenomenon. Intelligence is a substance. False ego is a substance. So, with these 3 elements, another kind of body is made. And that is called the subtle body. Like, sometimes people say that, yes, I changed when I was 5 years old. When, just as I asked you all actually, like, when you're 5-year-old, did you have the same body? No. The body changed today, but you didn't change. But sometimes people say that, no, I changed. I changed. But what they actually mean is the mind. Now they didn't change. Like in this respect, we had a very nice encounter one day. So somebody was challenging. No, I changed. I am not the same person. Then he asked him, how old were you when you were married? He says 31. How old are you? 45. Now why don't you go and ask your wife whether you are the same person? Did she get married to somebody else? No. So that actually proves that you are the same person. What actually changed is your mentality. Your mental makeup may have changed, but the person, you are the same. 31-year-old you and 45-year-old you is the same person. You can say similarly, you can ask your mother that no, who we gave birth to was a different person. Will she accept that? No. It's the same person. So this is how we have to understand that this body is the vehicle with which the soul travels in this material. Now let us get into the transmigration of the soul. Soul actually travels through the body. The gross body is constantly changing. It is something like, have you seen a water body like a fountain? Sometimes it seems it's the same like with water, like a fountain. It seems that it's one body. But what is actually happening? New water is coming in and old water is going out. But the shape that is there, it appears to be the same. So similarly, in our body also, new elements are coming in, new cells are being generated, and the old cells are dying. So this is how constantly the body is actually going through transformation. So this is how the body is changing. It's happening in such a slow way that we don't register it. Like when we see somebody one day to another, we don't see that there is any change. They look the same. But when you see somebody after 2 years or 5 years, especially when they're children, then they look so different that sometimes you can't even recognize that it's the same boy that you have seen. So this is how the body actually constantly changes. Similarly, the mind or the subtle body also changes. How the subtle body changes? The subtle body changes with the karmic reaction. As you act, like say, as you act, all your actions leave their impressions in the subtle body. When you do something very good, when you act in a very good way, how do you feel? You gave somebody a lot of money in charity. How do you feel? There is a poor man who was starving and you give him some food. How do you feel? There is an old person in distress, you go and help him. How do you feel? So these are the good actions. And as a result of this good action, how do you feel? Within you, you feel good. Now if you do something wrong, if you do some act in a bad way, then how do you feel? Although nobody saw you doing it, but how do you feel? You feel that. So this is how the good actions and bad actions leave their impressions in our subtle body. And according to the subtle body, takes the shape. Like sometimes don't we say that he is like an angel? एक देवता है ना? कभी कभी बोलते हैं मतलब that he acts like an angel. When somebody acts like an angel, his subtle body will take the shape like that of an angel. And when also sometimes we say that he is like an animal, he is like a rakshasa, he is like a demon. Why? Because he acts like that. And because he acts like that, his body will take what kind of shape? Take the shape of a demon or an animal. Sometimes we say that he is like a pig. So when somebody acts like a pig, then his subtle body will take the shape of a pig. Then after he leaves the body, then by nature's arrangement, see, his subtle body already taken the shape of a pig. So what kind of body should he get? His subtle body already got the shape of a pig. So nature will reward him a pig's body. How? He will be placed in the womb of a pig mother through a pig father. And then in the womb of the pig mother, he acts like a pig. Already he was acting like a pig. Now he has a full liberty. So this is how our actions actually determine our future. That's why it has been decided, it has been very emphatically described that you act in a right way. Don't act in a So, in this way, the subtle body actually determines our next body. But what does the subtle body do? See, the gross body dies at one point, but the subtle body doesn't die. Subtle body doesn't die. It's subtle. Therefore, the more gross it is, the changes are also noticeable. Right? Like for example, earth and water. Solid substance and liquid. The solid substance has a specific shape. It retains the shape longer time. But the liquid body, does it retain the shape? Now, even more subtle than water is fire. The shape of the fire is even more subtle. Then even more subtle than fire is air. So the movement of air you cannot determine. And even more subtle than air is ether. So this way you can see that more gross it is, more tangible it is. More subtle it is, more subtle it is. More abstract it is. So this is how the subtle body doesn't change very. Subtle body doesn't just disappear. It kind of retains its identity in the subtle body. Its changes are not that much. Therefore, at the time of death, we leave the gross body, but subtle body. Rather, the subtle body remains and the subtle body carries us. Subtle body carries us. And accordingly, we get different types of it. Now, beyond this subtle body, there is a spiritual. We all are spirit souls. We all are spiritual beings. We all came from, where did we come from?
Spiritual world.
Okay. So you're not from Ujjain. So we all came from the spiritual stuff. Now, who came from the spiritual side? Soul came from the spiritual. So, the spirit soul is coming from the spiritual side. Now, why did the spirit soul come here? We are spiritual beings. We should be in the spiritual world. Why did we come here? The reason is, in the spiritual sky, Krishna is the center. And everyone there is focused on Krishna. Everyone is looking towards Krishna. Everyone is acting to serve Krishna. Everyone is working to please Krishna. That is the nature of everyone in the spiritual world. But when somebody turns away from Krishna, then what? We are focusing, we are seeing Krishna. Our focus is on Krishna. But if at some point our focus changes and we don't look at Krishna, we look away from Krishna. What is away from Krishna? Away from Krishna is Krishna's external image. Right? Krishna's internal potency, spiritual. The moment we look away from Krishna, then we look towards the material. mind. This has been described in a scripture called Prema Vibhakti. It says, Krishna bohi mukh hoiya bhogavansha kare nikotastho maya tare jagate. Krishna bohi mukh hoiya bhogavansha. The moment a living entity turns his face away from Krishna, he immediately develops the desire to enjoy bhogavansha. Bhog means, are you familiar with this expression bhog? Sanskrit word bhog, bhog tyag. Bhog means enjoy. So it naturally happens. Why? Because a living entity is superior. Coming from Krishna's superior entity. Material nature is Krishna's inferior nature. So when the superior comes across an inferior, what is the natural tendency? And when enjoy, try to exploit. Like you have an employee, you are an employer, you are the boss. You have an employee, junior, subordinate, inferior. What do? Ye kar, wo kar. Do this for me, do that for me. So that is the tendency of a living entity when a superior spiritual comes across the inferior entity. Desire to enjoy, desire to exploit. And that actually gives the covering of false ego. False ego is, so now you get the point? Right? At that time, I told you like this. It's a subtle material energy. So false ego ultimately is a tendency to lord over this material. It's a substance which eventually comes into the body and tries to exploit. Because how we are trying to enjoy? We are trying to enjoy through this. So the cause of our exploitation begins there. Our false ego. We get the subtle cover of false ego. And then this is how, you see, we forget our actual identity. That we are, what is our actual identity? Jiver Swarup Hoy Krishna. A living entity's actual identity is that he is the eternal servant of Krishna. But now coming in contact with the material nature, looking at it from Krishna, what happened? Now he wants to become an enjoyer. But are we really the enjoyer? So that is the false. To make us feel that we are the enjoyers is the false. Then we begin to plan how we are going to enjoy. That gives us the second covering of intelligence. For it is due to the second covering of intelligence that we begin to plan. This is how we are going to enjoy. This is my domain. I am going to enjoy it in this way. That's the functioning of the intelligence. And then the consciousness flows towards the material nature through the agency of the mind. So in this way, through mind, intelligence and false ego, we get the covering, three subtle coverings, and that gives us the subtle. Now soul, actually these bodies are actually bondage. The soul is now bound by the subtle. The bondage of false ego, bondage of intelligence, and then material nature gives us a gross body to fulfill our desires in this material nature. So in this way the living entity becomes trapped in this material. So today, now I will invite questions. If anybody has any question, yes.
Confusion where we actually from the spiritual world, because I read from somewhere that the wedding school was actually on the cut. It was on a cut between the spiritual world and the material world. Because originally in the spiritual world, and often changing the appearance of Krishna came there.
Yeah. You see, what we wear, we'll never be able to understand. But can anybody ever deny the fact that we are from the spiritual side? If we are spiritual being, then where did we come from? Can you say, I'm a spiritual being, but I was generated somewhere other than the spiritual side? Can you say that? When I say I'm a spiritual being, then I have to admit that I was in the spiritual side. Then what we did after that, that is different. Whether you look towards Krishna, whether you look at Krishna. Therefore Prabhupada's point was, don't worry about that, because you'll never be able to understand. For millions of lifetimes you keep on speculating, and still you'll never be able to understand. So don't waste your time. The point is, now where are you? Where are you now? Where should you go? So do that. Where doesn't matter. Where you are now, that is right. Yeah. You have seen, like those people, those who are just speculating and arguing and debating, where they are going. I have seen myself, this debate is going on since 1982. For last 28 years, in some community, this debate is going on and they still haven't come to any conclusion. So, and I will say, they have simply wasted this 28 years. And that's what Prabhupada told at that time. Don't waste your time speculating on something that will never be. But the point is, yes, jiva is tatastha. Tatastha means the jiva can decide whether he will go towards Krishna or whether he will go away from Krishna. Do you have that prerogative? Can you decide whether you go towards Krishna or go away from Krishna? What did you decide? You go towards Krishna. So that's what matters. So this is the tatastha. But not that everybody will think that way. You are thinking that you will go towards Krishna. But you ask 25 million other people what they will say. Who is Krishna? I know this is everything. Java Jiva Sukhi. As long as you're living, live happy, enjoy. Right? So that is the tatastha. One can decide for himself whether he go towards Krishna or not. Whether we have been with Krishna or not doesn't matter. But when we read Krishna book, then do we get a glimpse of the spiritual side? Do we get to see Krishna? So that is what is real. Krishna is real. And we can go back. Whether I was with Krishna before or not doesn't matter. Whether I'll be able to go to Krishna, that's what matters. Okay? Hare Krishna. Yes?
Sometimes a person has to behave like a cruel man or chastise the employees or like, as you said, but in that, does that affect the subtle mind or subtle body for next birth of
You see, every action has its reaction. Therefore, the safest action, which I didn't deal with today, but this I'll discuss tomorrow. The safest action is to act for Krishna. If you're chastising for your own sake, then yes, you'll get a reaction. But if you're chastising for his Krishna consciousness or for service to Krishna, then he will benefit and he will benefit. So that's why the safest thing is to act for Krishna. Otherwise, as I mentioned, good or bad, any action will leave its imprint on the subtle body. So why risk it? The goal actually is to get rid of the subtle body. The gross body will get rid of at the time of death. That's no problem. Naturally will be relieved of this body. But difficult part is to get rid of the subtle body, because subtle body will not go. At the time of death, this body will die. Subtle body will not die. So that is the real problem. So there is a way to get rid of the subtle body. So the way to do it is by acting on behalf of Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes, Radha.
Guru Maharaj, as you told that every action leaves an imprint on the subtle body. So with time, does the imprint goes or shapes, or does it always remains there? So like with memory we forget several wrong dates and right dates, but does it means all the imprints remain always with, because subtle body changes different?
Yeah, it says karmana daiva netrena. Karmana daiva netrena. Daiva netrena means the divine eyes are watching our actions and making us liable to the reaction. So everything that we do is generating its result of creation. Right? That is why the only way is sarva dharman parityajya. Just surrender to Krishna. That's the only way to get rid of our karma. There is one. Yes?
Bhagavan says, Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayami mashacha. So, Guru Maharaj, क्या हमारे पुराने जो deeds हैं, bad deeds, उनका फल हमें नहीं भोगना पड़ेगा?
नहीं, सर्व पापेभ्यो.
तो कितनी सुंदर बात है.
कितने सारे पाप था, जो भी हुआ था, पाप था, पुण्य, सब कुछ. सर्व पापेभ्यो. सर्व means? Or do you think Krishna doesn't know Sanskrit? Yes, somebody had a question here. Yes.
Intelligence is linked to a certain body or to a soul. Intelligence is linked to a certain body.
Yeah, intelligence is the subtle element, so it is linked to subtle. Subtle body, the soul is the real identity, right? Soul is the real person, right? And then there are two machines. One is a subtle machine and a gross machine, right? Like you see sometimes, when you go, when they go in the rocket, did you see that they have to put on a dress, right? And then they get into the rocket, right? Now, the person is the soul. That body that the thing that the dress they put on to be acclimatized to the condition that they will be in is the subtle body. And the rocket is the gross body. Okay? To be into the rocket, you need a certain type of body. Yes, Shankar.
Guru Maharaj, where does the subtle body resides in our gross body?
Yeah. Generally, actually it is all permeating throughout, but the seat of the subtle body is the brain center. And the intelligence, where does the intelligence come? Intelligence, mind, where is the mind? Yeah. And the soul is in the heart.
And falsity? Falsity.
Subtle body.
We know that we are dictating by false ego. So it resists us to surrender to Krishna. But we are able to get rid of the false ego.
Yeah. The way to get rid of the false ego you have to approach that. Right. What is the false ego? The false ego means wrong identity. False means wrong. Ego is the identity. Wrong identity. What is the wrong identity? Wrong identity, what is the false ego doing? You are so great. You are the supreme personality of Godhead. You are the supreme controller. Right? That is what the false ego is telling you. But what is your real identity? Servant of Krishna. So when you become a servant of Krishna, then what happens to your false ego? Then is there any room for your false identity to be there? Therefore, the real solution is to become a servant of Krishna. You become a servant of Krishna, then your identity will become regained.
आपने जैसे बोला कि कुछ गलत करते हैं तो अंदर से गिल्ट फील होता है, कभी कभार ऐसा होता है कि अंदर से गिल्ट फील होता है कि नहीं।
अगर गिल्ट फील नहीं भी हुआ तो भी उसका प्रभाव रहता है, क्योंकि ये तो विचार तो हम लोग नहीं कर रहे हैं, कोई देख रहे हैं हम क्या कर रहे हैं और लिख रहे हैं। हम देखें या ना देखें, इसका प्रभाव उन्होंने देखा है। बल्कि जैसे हम काम करते हैं, काम का प्रभाव हम उपलब्धि करें या ना करें, उसका प्रभाव रह जाता है और उसके अनुसार फॉल्स सटल बॉडी का तैयारी, सटल बॉडी का शेप। जैसे कोई आदमी जब जैसे कोई बुरा काम करता है, उसको पता नहीं है कि वो बुरा काम करता है, बल्कि उस कार्य के प्रभाव से उसका सूक्ष्म शरीर का परिवर्तन है।
अगर जैसे वो उसने गलत किया, then he comes in Krishna consciousness, फिर भी he is continuing, थोड़ा
नहीं, धीरे धीरे वो फॉल्स सटल बॉडी जो है वो उसका नाश है, खत्म हो। ये इसका विचार हम कल करेंगे। जैसे उसका सूक्ष्म शरीर का 3 उपादान है, मन, बुद्धि और अहंकार। तो मन जब कृष्ण के चिंतन में अर्पित होता है तब मन का परिवर्तन होता है। जब इंद्रिय जो बुद्धि के द्वारा जब हम भगवान को सेवा करना शुरू करते हैं तो बुद्धि आध्यात्मिक होती है, और जब हम भगवान को सेवा में लग जाते हैं तब अहंकार नहीं रहता है, हम भगवान का दास होते हैं। तो इस तरीके से ये 3 सूक्ष्म उपादान का नाश हो जाता है। मन, बुद्धि और अहंकार का परिवर्तन होकर ये आध्यात्मिक स्वरूप का प्रकाशन, इसका विचार हम
according to the mentality, the body changes its form. However, there are as many mentalities.
Not mentality, according to the activity, the subtle body shape.
So, but
that comes in the form of mentality.
So there are as many kinds of mentality as there are distinct.
There are billions of types of mentality. Therefore, there are millions of types of body. Do you think that everybody looks alike? Why not? Although they are human beings, but do the human beings look alike? Everybody looks alike. That is because of subtle bodies.
I was going to ask that there are only 6 number of species that range away from animals.
That is the general species. General, but then there are changeable. Like among them also there are subtle species.
चाहते हैं कि बहुत अच्छा बने, वक्त बने, अगर चाहते हैं कि शुद्ध वक्त बने, बहुत अच्छा बने, वो सब करें, लेकिन सब करते हुए मालूम होते हुए कि हम गलत बने, फिर भी हम वो इंद्रियों के वशीभूत होकर कई बार गलती कर देते हैं। हमें पता होता है कि हम गलत करें, लेकिन फिर भी हम कर देते हैं, अनजाने में कर देते हैं।
इसका मतलब है बुद्धि सही रूप से काम नहीं कर रही। अगर इंटेलिजेंस को सही रूप से इस्तेमाल करोगे तो क्या करोगे? जो करना नहीं चाहिए उसको क्या करते रहोगे? ये है बुद्धि का कार्य। बुद्धि जितनी बुद्धि प्रबल होगा उतना ही हम गलत काम छोड़ के सही काम में होते हैं।
पुरानी आदत बनेगी, हम किसी की बुराई नहीं करें, किसी गलत बात नहीं करें, लेकिन चाहते हुए नहीं चाहते हुए कभी कभी
इसके लिए अभ्यास की जरूरत है। जो कह रही है आदत पड़ गया, तो उसको आदत को सुधारने, जो आदत जो हुआ था वो क्या 1-2 दिन से बना था? कितना दिन से बना? कोई जन्म से बना। तो कोई जन्म से जिसका प्रभाव आया है वो क्या 1-2 दिन में सुधार जाएगा? थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा, कोशिश करते हैं। ये प्रभाव जो हो रहा है करना नहीं चाहिए, ये बहुत अच्छी बात है। ये है बुद्धि का प्रभाव, करना नहीं चाहिए। और इस बुद्धि के साथ साथ और एक चीज भी है, वो है विवेक। ये विवेक के द्वारा हमारा उपलब्धि होता है, अनुभव होता है कि ये नहीं है। तो विवेक का सदुपयोग इस तरह करना चाहिए। जो विवेकवान नहीं है वो सोचेंगे, जो विवेक के द्वारा ही ये अनुभव करना चाहिए या हाँ,
नेक्स्ट टाइम ना हो इसके लिए हमें क्या प्रिकॉशन है?
नहीं करना चाहिए। Yes. मतलब है थोड़ा कुछ ज्यादा करना चाहिए, जितना कर सकते करते हुए करना चाहिए, बल्कि कम से कम 16 माला तो एकादशी ये 25 माला कभी कभी बोलते हैं ये करना चाहिए, बल्कि मुझे पता नहीं है ये 25 राउंड के बारे में प्रभुपाद बोले थे। मैं सोचा था कि ये प्रभुपाद का निर्देश था, बल्कि बाद में मुझे पता चला ये प्रभुपाद का निर्देश नहीं था। प्रभुपाद बोले थे एकादशी के दिन भक्ति में और अधिक लिप्त होना चाहिए। अच्छा है कि 64 माला तक, उससे भी अच्छा होगा 128, और सबसे अच्छा होगा 24 आवर्स। What is the proof? You see, the ultimate proof is the scriptures and acharyas, the teachings, spiritual teachings. The scriptures are saying that जीवे स्वरूप है कृष्ण दास। हिंदी में भी सोचो, मैं हूँ दास तुम्हारा, प्रभु जी मैं हूँ दास। ऐसे शास्त्र के माध्यम और गुरु के माध्यम हमें पता चलता है कि we are servants of Krishna, and therefore we have to accept that. And then we start to serve Krishna then we realize, yes, by serving Krishna all my problems are solved. By becoming a servant of Krishna, Krishna is giving me all protection. So this is how we actually become more and more fixed up. Now, initially we accept it with faith, but then it becomes reconfirmed. Any other question?